Hi guys, today we are going to be doing Amelia Bedelia in books. You guys cannot really actually read it, so because it's a mirror. So right here it says means business, and that means she's going to be selling a few things. We might get to that right now. So I'm going to be reading 3 chapters each week or so. And then we're just going to keep going with these books. There are exactly 4 books of Amelia Bedelia. I lost the second one, so I'm going to be looking for that one. So yeah, let's start reading Means Business. Amelia Bedelia, Means Business. Chapter 1, Money in the Root. Amelia Bedelia never meant to lead a pack of dogs on a wild goose chase. She never meant to steal something and then sell it. She never meant to make someone look very bad or lead a parade astray or even stomp on a piece of perfectly delicious cherry pie. But all that and more actually happened. Amelia Bedelia could have planted petunias for a neighbor or fed a cat while its owner was on vacation, but such small jobs would never have earned the wheelbarrows full of money Amelia Bedelia needed to make. It all started innocently enough when Amelia Bedelia decided that she wanted a new bike. But then one thing led to another until the mayor of Amelia Bedelia's town finally said that Amelia Bedelia means business. Here's what happened. The bike. Next chapter, this is chapter 2, and it's going to be T-H-E, biked. Amelia Bedelia adored her bike. It was a great bike. It was fast and dependable, and she had learned to ride it. She could tell you how it had gotten every dent. She could tell you what had chipped each fragment of paint from the frame and what had made those rusty scratches on the chrome. She could match each insult to her bike to an injury on her body. Scabs on knees, scrapes to her elbows, bruises on her shirts, and a tiny sliver of a scar under her chin. Amelia Bedelia had parked her bike at the bike rack. She was about to go into school when she saw some kids buzzing around Suzanne Scrongens. Suzanne was a new girl this year. She told all her friends to call her Susie. Amelia Bedelia still called her Suzanne. Even though Amelia Bedelia sat right behind her, Amelia Bedelia had never figured out why Suzanne was so crabby and bossy. Every day except for today, of course, since it was the last day of school before vacation, Amelia Bedelia noticed the difference right away. Suzanne was smiling from ear to ear. Then Amelia Bedelia saw why. Suzanne had a new bike. It was the most beautiful bike in the world. Amelia Bedelia was speechless, but she didn't make a sound. It was the takes your breath away inhaling sound that you can't control when you see something amazing. The bike was painted a rich emerald green with metal flakes that sparkled like diamonds floating just beneath the smooth enamel surface. Gleaming chrome reflected the sun dazzling Amelia Bedelia's eyes. She tried to look away, but she could not take her eyes off the bike. It hurt to look. It hurt even more not to look. Each inch of the bike was so streamlined that it looked though it was still moving even after Susan had parked it. From the back of her throat, Amelia Bedelia managed to croak. "Nice bike!" "Thank you," said Susan. "But bikes are bikes." "That's true," said Amelia Bedelia. "Just 2 wheels with spokes and lots of gears," said Susan. "I don't have any gears," said Amelia Bedelia. And here's the picture right here I want to show you guys. Here is, I think this is Suzanne over here, and this is Amelia Bedelia. And then all these people are watching her with her new emerald green bike. Oh, by the way, we have a special guest, Holly, my little sister. Say hi, Holly. Yeah. So we're going to keep reading. Tries, definitely, said Susan. Tires, definitely, said Susan. Not really, said Amelia Bedelia. I get too tired without gears. Brakes, said Susan. Sometimes my bike breaks, said Amelia Bedelia. Then my dad fixes it. The bell rang. It was time to go inside. As Susan locked her bike at the bike rack, at the rack, she said, "Don't forget to lock up your bike, Amelia Bedelia." That's when the truth hit Amelia Bedelia. She had never locked up her bike. She didn't have to, because it wasn't worth stealing. Who would want it? After seeing the bike, after Amelia Bedelia didn't, that's for sure. Everyone followed Suzanne into school, leaving Amelia Bedelia to ponder the difference between the two bikes. She felt bad for her bike. She felt bad about feeling bad about her bike. She felt bad, period. Finding out that life is unfair was no way to start the day, and it was certainly no way to start school vacation. That afternoon, after school, Amelia Bedelia avoided everyone, even her friends. She hid behind the dumpster, listening to the laughter and jokes and cries of "Have a good break." Finally, Amelia Bedelia got on her bike and rode home. She took the back way so no one would see her. Holly's really into this, you guys. So the third chapter, There But for the Grace. "And please," said Amelia Bedelia, "bring me a new bike." Amen. After she finished saying grace, Amelia Bedelia dove into her supper. Her parents did not begin to eat. They just looked at each other, then at each other. Her mom arched an eyebrow as high as it would go. Her dad opened his eyes super wide for a couple of seconds, as if someone had stepped on his stomach. Had Amelia Bedelia been paying attention instead of twirling her spaghetti and dreaming about bikes, she would have seen the secret eye talk. What that all parents can use to communicate with each other when their kids are present. Amelia Bedelia's father unfolded his napkin, spread it onto his lap, then asked, "So has anyone seen any nice bikes lately?" Amelia Bedelia sat straight without having to be told and exclaimed, "You wouldn't believe the bike I saw today." She spent the next 10 minutes giving her parents an inch-by-inch description of the most beautiful bike in the world, down to the last spoke. "Goodness," said Amelia Bedelia's mother, "a bike that special must cost an arm or leg." Amelia Bedelia shook her head. "I would never pay that much," she said. "You would need both your arms to steer the bike like that, and both your legs to pedal." "That's a good point," said her father. "You certainly need to be big and strong to ride a bike like that." "Yes," said Mother, "so take a bite of your broccoli before it gets cold." Amelia Bedelia took an extra large bite. "How far away is Christmas?" she asked. "A long way away," said her mother. Amelia Bedelia took a much smaller bite of her broccoli. "How far away is my birthday?" "Even farther," said her father. "Did I get all of my allowance this week?" "Every penny," said her father. "But remember, you'll have to pay me if you talk with your mouth full." Amelia Bedelia closed her mouth, and she chewed and chewed. Then she swallowed and said, "Could I get an early Christmas present and an early birthday present? A new bike is the only thing you'd have to get me ever for years and years." "Well," said her mother, "I think it would be better if a bike wasn't just given to you." Amelia Bedelia looked down at her plate. Her stomach hurt. Now she wished she had not eaten any broccoli at all. Since she was looking at her plate, she once again missed the eye talk between her parents. The time her mom's eyes grew wider, wide, both of her dad's eyebrows arched high, enough to gaze the ceiling. I agree, said her dad. You should work for a new bike and earn the money for at least half of it. Amelia Bedelia smiled and looked at her parents. Which half costs more, she said, the front half or the back half? They won't sell bikes that way, honey, said her mother. Then her father said, I'll tell you what. What, asked Amelia Bedelia. What about what? What do you have to tell me about what? Can we please keep talking about my bike instead of what? Bedelia's father patiently refilled his glass of water. We can't afford to buy a fancy bike like that, he said, but I can meet you halfway. Amelia Bedelia slid off her chair. She walked exactly halfway around the table and stood there. Her mom and dad stared at each other, then back at her. Okay, said Amelia Bedelia. Here I am. Are you going to meet me halfway or not? Amelia Bedelia's dad stood up and walked halfway around the table to meet her. He said, we will pay for half the cost of a new bike, but you will have to pay the other half. He held out his right hand. Amelia Bedelia looked at it. I can't pay you my half tonight, she said. Of course not, said her father. Tonight we'll make an agreement in business. When you agree to do something, you shake the other person's hand. Amelia Bedelia grabbed his wrist and shook his hand as hard as she could, up and down. Up and owie, said her father. Not like that, sweetie, said her mother. Her mother showed her how to shake her hands with her father. Make it a firm handshake, she said. Your hand shouldn't feel like a dead fish or a wet noodle. Then her parents gave each other a hug. You should probably leave out the hug part, sweetie, said her mother. Why? Asked Amelia Bedelia. I love Dad. She shook her father's hand, then her mother's hand. Then Amelia Bedelia hugged them both together. Family hug, she hollered when they were all hugged out. Amelia Bedelia's father said, Now, Amelia Bedelia, let's have dessert and talk about how you're going to earn your half of that bike. You're hired, Chapter 4. We're going to read that one next week. Bye, guys. Oh, and make sure to subscribe and like my video. Also, comment down below if you like this book and if you have any other books you would like me to read. Thank you. Bye.